been in a funk where things just are not going your way? Everything that you think is supposed to happen, the opposite happens. You feel like there's block after block after block, and all you want to do is throw in the towel. Well, that is all about losing sight of your vision. And in this episode, we are going to dive into that. Stay tuned.
We all have situations, experiences, and moments in our life when we know deep at our core we have to do something different. We have to pivot. And regardless of how big or small that pivot is, it requires us to change something in our life. And that change can feel really uncomfortable. However, it is that change that is creating something entirely new. And it is that newness that creates a very different way of life in one area or multiple areas of our life. What's this all about? It is all about reinventing thyself. My name is Michelle Shutter, and I'd like to welcome you to Reinventing Thyself. I am so glad that you joined me today, because it is here that we'll move beyond our old self, our old identity, and that trailer of garbage from the past that we like to pull into the future, but really need to ditch that hitch. It is here that we'll move into that place of reinvention and embracing the newness of it all. Are you ready to step into reinventing thyself? Because guess what? It is never too late, and your time is now. Let's get started.
Welcome back to Reinventing Thyself. Whether you are catching this on podcast or on video, I'm happy that you are here and carving some time out of your day to do just that, reinvent thyself. So perhaps there's some nuggets in this episode that you'll be able to take away. My name is Michelle Shutter, and I am a certified life coach. And today's episode, we are going to dive into, losing sight of your vision. Now, keep in mind, reinventing thyself, at the core of reinventing thyself, is really embracing the newness and creating something in your life that is aligned with your heart and soul. So when we're losing sight of our vision, perhaps there are some things that are out of alignment in a sense, and we're going to dive all into that. But let's go back to where I started from before. You're in a funk, all these blocks are coming up. All of a sudden, you are putting everybody else first, and you're procrastinating, and you're avoiding, and things are feeling heavy. And all of a sudden, you're like, where is my vision? And you're searching for it, right? Is that my vision out there on the horizon? I don't know, right? Where did it go? It's almost like you can't even feel it or step into it anymore. And when we are reinventing thyself, just know that it is not uncommon for this funk to happen, for these blocks to come up, for a whole lot of bogus stories to bubble to the surface and try to cloud that vision in any way possible. If this has happened to you, you're not alone. You are not alone. But the thing is, so many people, we just don't want to talk about it for whatever reason, right? It puts us in a state of being vulnerable, and that isn't always the most comfortable situation. But here's what we're going to do. Let's just hit the pause button. And let's just take a deep breath. And when we are in that place where it feels like a funk, it feels like there's blocks, it feels like nothing is going right, will I ever see any results? Those are all signs that you are losing sight of your vision. So yes, hit the pause button and take some deep breaths, because I'm going to share some things with you throughout this episode that perhaps can help bring that vision back into sight and create maybe a little bit more clarity around it, and so that some of that those bogus stories start to clear out, and we lift that fog so that we can really see what our vision is yet again. I'm going to dive into why it happens, but before I do that, again, I want you to know that it happens to all of us. It has happened to me numerous times. And what it boils down to for me many times is that all of a sudden my vision is evolving faster than what I anticipated. Evolving faster, and my headspace wants to like slow it down because it can't take it in so quickly, right? And my headspace is thinking, well, the vision should have enrolled like this, first this, then that. And that is not how it works. So when we are caught up in our headspace, it's easy to lose sight of our vision because we're trying to control something that potentially is just out of our control, right? It is trusting that unknown and knowing that it is going to show up for our greater good. Now, here's the part that we really have to sink into is the heart space. When that vision was evolving so fast for me, like I disconnected from that heart space because I didn't trust it. And that was one of the biggest mistakes I made, is I stayed in that headspace. And so when we can get out of that headspace and sink deep into that heart space, it really serves us at a higher level. And this has come up again and again and again in building my coaching business. Like that vision that I set all of a sudden expands quicker than what I feel like I can handle. And that is just a bogus story. Like I don't have to really handle it or control it. I have to remove my resistance around it and just have that deep inner knowing that it is unfolding exactly the way it should. And so like, I want to give you just like another example was my son who plays football in college. He texted me the other day and he said, note to self, don't eat like shit the night before a lift. And I, texted him back and I said, treat your body great, your body will treat you great. Treat your body like shit, your body will treat you like shit. And, yes, he true that, right? And then I just said, and you have to discipline yourself and hold tight to that vision that you have for yourself. And so then I got to thinking like, why do we lose sight of our vision? And so there's 5 things that I want to share with you today. There's a lot more, but just 5 of these that perhaps will, again, assist you and support you in bringing that vision back front and center. So the first thing is distractions. Like, why does this happen? Distractions. Well, distractions can be people, our full calendar, our work, our kids, household chores, right? Anything can be a distraction if we allow it. Now, we really need to sink into, is that a distraction or is it more an excuse? And many times we try to mask distractions as excuses, and that doesn't serve us at all. So really think about, what am I allowing into my space that really is a distraction, but deep down, it's really an excuse? And be conscious of that, because when you are not conscious of it, that is a quick way to really lose our vision. The second thing is, is your vision fulfilling enough? Many times we create that vision and it feels full of fulfillment at the moment, but yet it's not quite enough. It doesn't sustain us. And so what I encourage you to do is really look at your vision and stretch it a little bit more. Stretch it to that point where you amplify that fulfillment at some level. And when I tell you to amplify that fulfillment, I want you to think about it as, how does that impact other people? How does your vision impact other people? Like, spread that fulfillment more. So like if your vision is the circle, right? Let that fulfillment ripple out. who's going to be impacted closest to you, and then just ripple it out. Because when we can amplify our fulfillment, it really takes us to a different energetic level that is more aligned with our vision. And so think about your vision, where you want it to go, but then amplify it by how does this impact and serve other people. The next thing I want you to think about is the perception of sacrifice. Are you losing sight of your vision because at some level you see this as a sacrifice? And let me use health as an example. So many times, right, we have a vision for our health and we set goals and, I'm going to exercise more, I'm going to eat better, yada, yada, yada. And then all of a sudden we're looking at, dang, like I really want those chips, or I really want to go have a beer with the buddies, or, oh, dang, that ice cream is calling my name, right? And so we look at it more as a sacrifice in that we're losing out on some of these foods or drinks that really don't serve our highest good. And not to say that we can't have them or indulge, but we really need to look at, are we taking on a perception of sacrifice around our vision? And if we're looking at it from a place of lack, which is sacrifice would be, right? We're losing out on something. How can we really step into that fullest vision? So instead of looking at it as sacrifice or a place of lack, look at it into, gosh, what am I gaining? And who am I becoming by really taking on this vision fully? And again, I use health because it's just the easiest one to use in many cases. However, you can use that for whatever it is that you're looking to expand in your vision. The next one I want you to think about is BS domination. So this one, losing sight of your vision, is all about the bogus stories that are dominating your thoughts. So you have this vision, it's really pulling you in a great way, and yet you put a little time and space between creating this vision and really taking action on it. And now all of a sudden you have all this BS that starts boiling up and bubbling in your mind. All the bogus stories that decide to come to light. So it's really looking at, gosh, how can I create some conscious awareness around what those thoughts are? Do I know what those thoughts are? Can I call myself out on those thoughts? How are they serving me? Are they serving my vision? Right? So if we are not aware of those bogus stories, it's super easy for us to lose sight of that vision. And the one thing I want you to think about is, if you're not aware of those bogus stories, it's really challenging for you to take action towards that vision, because those bogus stories are going to come up without a doubt. And unless you have a way to move through them, to clear them, to replace them with something that is more empowering and perhaps heal whatever it was that caused that bogus story to come up in the first place, it's going to be challenging for you to keep that vision front and center. It's almost like, in this case, you're holding on to your vision by threads. And at any moment, that thread could slip through your hand, or at any moment, that thread could be cut, and boom, there goes your vision. Okay, so think about that. And then the fifth thing I want you to think about is there an energetic match between you and your vision? Now, I want you to think about this. Your vision isn't coming to fruition close or fast enough, right? So you all of a sudden are diving into disappointment, or you're discouraged, and perhaps you're worried. Self-doubt starts to come into play. So all of that energy is, let's say, right here. But your vision is up here, and your vision holds the energy of, joy and happiness and appreciation and gratitude and service. And so we go like this, there's no energetic match there. So either I have got to bring my vision down and match it with disappointment, discouragement, worry, doubt, or I've got to raise myself up and match myself with the vision of joy and appreciation and happiness and gratitude and service. Now, I want you to think about that and really feel into that and those energies, right? Like, what energy feels better to you? Discouragement? Disappointment? Worry? Doubt? Or is it joy, happiness, appreciation, gratitude, right? And so can you see how all 5 of these all of a sudden are overlapping again and layering upon each other and intertwining? So real quickly, again, the 5 things, like, why do we lose sight of our vision? 1, distractions, essentially our excuses. 2, our vision just is not fulfilling enough, and we need to amplify that fulfillment. 3, we have a perception of sacrifice, which is essentially lack. So when we're from a place of lack, we're not really in that higher vibrational energy again. 4, we've got a whole lot of BS domination going on, right? The bogus stories are just dominating our thoughts. We're ruminating on those. We're not moving beyond them, so we're not taking any action. And 5, we have no energetic match with our vision. So what do, right? And again, like, it's never too late to realign yourself with your vision. So again, look at your excuses. Amplify your fulfillment. Look at that perception of sacrifice, of like, gosh, am I really looking at this from a place of lack? And be honest with yourself, right? Like, who are you trying to kid? You can't deny yourself the truth of what is happening. And when you deny it, like, then you're just avoiding. So like, bring it to light, shed some light on it so that you can clear it and move on. And again, like, how do I take my energy and align it with my vision? Like, where is my energy at? And when you can do this, it certainly creates clarity. It really is bringing that vision closer to you rather than far away. And one of the great ways you can do this too is to really get clear on your vision. And then I want you to think about it happening, but I want you to think about you in the space of the day after it happened, and really getting into that feeling of it happened. Like, what does your day look like? How are you feeling? What are you doing? Really living in that moment of it happening, but not the day that it happened, the day after. So try those out. Let me know what resonates for you. One thing I want you to know is, if any of these resonated with you in a sense, and you feel like you're losing sight of your vision, and you really want to bring some clarity and certainty around that, I really invite you just to dive deeper into all of this and really reconnect to that vision, whether you're looking to revise it, rewrite it in some way, and just renew that vision. And I really dive deeper into that 5-day video series, the 5 steps to reinventing thyself. And actually, video number 3 is all about releasing the personal chokehold. And you're going to get a lot out of that will actually support you and your vision. So if that is something you want to take advantage of, there is no charge for that. You can head on over to reinventingthyself.com, and you will find that there. So there's actually a button to get the 5-day video series. And then I also have just a PDF download of 3 shortcuts that will help you with reinventing yourself as well. So again, you can find those at www.reinventingthyself.com. So that is it for this week's episode 20 of Losing Sight of Your Vision. And again, I invite you to embrace the newness of change and really lean into that pivot. You're having to change, you're having to pivot for a reason, and it's showing up for a reason. And the time is now. And that headspace may not want you to believe that the time is now, but that heart space is certainly telling you that that time is now. And so lean into the change, embrace the newness, and really take a moment to create something, create that vision that is aligned with your heart and soul. That is a big shortcut. That is a big shortcut to really create that alignment, and do it from your heart space. Lean into the pivot. It's here for a reason. You're ready. And if you're looking for some extra support around this, head to reinventingthyself.com and go through that video series. All right, that's a wrap for episode 20. Until next time.
Well, what are you waiting for? Whether you've pivoted and are unsure, or you're on the verge of pivoting, there is no better time than now for you to begin. Want to know why? Because if it wasn't the right time, the pivot wouldn't have shown up. And to get you started, I've got 3 shortcuts to reinventing thyself. Just head on over to www.reinventingthyself.com and you can download it there. And don't forget to message me with the shortcut that resonates with you the most. One last thing. I know you and I are not the only ones that have leaned into the pivot. Be sure to share this with others so they can be supported too. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you for supporting me in sharing this message. Until next time.